Hello, friends. Very soothing greetings of this beautiful morning to all of you. May this day help you to prosper and excel in each and every prospect of your life, helping you to glorify every moment very productively. Dear friends, I, Kunal Nagpal, am feeling immensely humbled to welcome you to this great economic session. Dear friends, today we are basically going to have a very exploratory discussion on cooperative federalism, and as emphasized by our respected Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, he is basically encouraging the team spirit at the conclave of the top state officials. Now, before proceeding, I want to talk something on cooperative federalism. What is cooperative federalism? The term cooperative federalism basically originated from the Latin word fidus, which means treaty or agreement. Therefore, a federation is a new state policy combining the principle of centralization and power of the non-centralized units. India comprises of different states with diverse cultures where adaptation of federalism is actually pivotal. The idea of cooperative federalism in India basically enhances the center-state relationship as well as the relationships between the states and the local governments. Federalism is actually a system of government in which the powers have been divided between the center and its constituent parts such as states or provinces. So, here is an extensive discussion on this particular topic. So, what is cooperative federalism with respect to India? Basically, cooperative federalism in India reflects an ideology of a stable relationship between the center and other units. It guides all the governing bodies to come forward and cooperate to resolve the common social, political, economic, and civic problems. So, this is an excellent forum to basically obtain synergy between the states and the center on the issues of common interest, be it the social issues, political issues, economic issues, or the civic issues. This idea of federalism may be something new to the world, but it existed in India since the ancient times. The central power used to adapt a non-intervention policy in the local matters due to the diversity of this subcontinent. However, the tendencies to centralize power was partly evident during some Mughal monarch rule. But after the revolt of 1857, the British government terminated its intervention policy. The origin of cooperative federalism in modern India was rooted in the Regulating Act of 1773. Herein, the Crown Rule of England supervised the East India Company and left the governing power to the local government. So, the Government of India Act of 1919 anticipated a dual government system called diarchy. According to this, the power will be divided between the hands of a British governor and the local government. The Government of India Act of 1935 was made to attain this dual government system. The responsibility of the constitutional framework from 1946 to 1950 lied upon the eminent leaders of Indian independence. They formed a Constituent Assembly to frame the draft of India's constitution. They basically aimed to build a political idea to unite a disintegrated and subdivided society. The Assembly's members therefore opted for an intense center with residual power. The principle of centralizing power became prominent during the 1980s. However, the distribution of power from union to state and state to panchayat was later escalated. This is how India's cooperative federalism met the constitution's objectives like unity, social justice, and democracy. So, according to the articles of the constitution, Cooperative federalism is actually defined in the following manner. The constitution makers endeavored to create synergistic governance by distributing essential powers and responsibilities to the center and states. Nevertheless, they basically vested power on the decision of Parliament and judgment of the Supreme Court. Thus, the center is provided with more specific powers, keeping the essence of cooperative federalism. Now, dear friends, let's discuss the basic aspects of how PM is encouraging the team spirit and the conclave of the top state officials, keeping cooperative federalism as the basis. So as a part of his endeavor to promote cooperative federalism and take all states along in the development process, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji chaired the National Conference of the Chief Secretaries of States on Friday, that is on 6th January 2023. The focus of the exercise is to strengthen the close coordination and collaboration between the center and the states for rapid and sustained economic growth. Attending the Conference of Chief Secretaries, this is a wonderful forum to exchange the views on important policy-related subjects and actually to strengthen the team spirit to take India to newer heights, Modi ji said in a Twitter post on 6th January. The 3-day conference of the chief secretaries being held here is actually the second such gathering. The first conference was held in Dharamshala in 2022. The aim of the meeting is actually seamless coordination between the central ministries and departments with the states for the purpose of development. Since he took over as the Prime Minister in 2014, Modi ji has taken measures to encourage more participation of the states in the various initiatives for growth. This has been seen the convergence of the matters between the center and the states in the work undertaken in the aspirational districts since 2018. The increase in the tax revenue share dispersed to the states by 10%, taking decisions through consensus in the GST Council, Pragati meetings for the speedy implementation of schemes, holding conferences of state home ministers and DGPs, and so on. Modi ji's own experience as the Chief Minister of Gujarat and then as the PM has given him the experience of how both sides, that is the center and the state, deal with the developmental issues. Such exercises help in creating more synergy and efficiency. It actually helps to strengthen the cooperative federalism through collaboration and consultation between the center and the states. The way the center and the states have worked in developing the most backward districts, termed the aspirational districts across the country. The program was launched in 2018 with the broad strategy of governance, convergence, collaboration, and competition. The center has also increased the divisible pool of tax resources disbursed to the states from 32% to 42%, giving the latter more funds to design and undertake the developmental work. The Goods and Services Tax Council, that is the GST Council, is another example of cooperative federalism where the center has made all efforts to build a consensus on the quantum of taxes to be imposed on the items and services. Pragati, which basically stands for proactive governance and timely implementation. I repeat, proactive governance and timely implementation is actually the information and communications based platform in which both the center and the state governments are engaged. The concept, which was actually envisaged during Modi ji's prime ministership, involves the senior most officials from the center and the chief secretary of the state concerned discussing the ways to proactively complete the projects within a stipulated time period. The NDA government has also given a new life to to the annual conference of the DGPs and IGs of the states, with the Prime Minister himself attending most sessions and encouraging informal and open discussions. The venue of these meetings keeps moving every year, which actually helps other states learn first-hand unique practices of the host state. A new initiative basically started in October 2022 is the Chintan Shivir of Home Ministers of States. Now let's basically draw more insights on the concept of cooperative federalism according to the articles of the Constitution. The 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution divided all the power between central, state and concurrent lists, giving some residual powers to the center. Article 249(5) authorizes the Indian Parliament to basically amend those subjects of the state list. However, the resolution must pass an in-state council within a 2/3 majority to make a change. The All India Services basically caters for a unified judicial system to establish the center and state laws. The Article 312 of the Indian Constitution manifests this provision that works on integration under the cooperative federalism in India. Article 263 basically talks about an interstate council to consider the common interest factors between the states and the center. Article 261 emphasizes full faith and credit to all records, public acts and judicial proceedings of the Union and states throughout the Indian territory. This step encourages faith and cooperation between the center and the states. There are 5 zonal councils for each zone, like Central, North, South, East and West, to promote coordination. These are basically designed under the State Reorganization Act of 1956, while the Northeast Zonal Council is made under a distinct act. The Planning Commission was basically replaced with Niti Aayog in order to attain more cooperative federalism. This organization basically advises the center and states to look after the discussion and coordination between these two powers. Also, 101st Amendment of the Indian Constitution passed unified taxation called GST. It's a unique tax that basically manufacturers impose directly on the consumer, which actually helps them to obtain a one nation, one tax goal. Several organizations have tried and failed to settle the center-state feuds, making cooperative federalism in India difficult. But now, it is getting easier under the Prime Ministership of Sri Narendra Modi ji's. Some ways to strengthen cooperative federalism can be the state's independence on making laws, fiscal support from the center and decentralization of power. Now, my dear friends, let's move to another topic, that is India, which is actually to host the Voice of Global South Summit, and it invites 120 nations for this virtual summit. India has invited more than 120 nations for the conference of the Global South, giving a voice to the non-G20 nations in order to flag their concerns and share the perspectives. The Voice of Global South Summit will basically be conducted virtually on January 12 to 13. And the session will basically be hosted by the Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji's with the heads of the states. The summit will basically deliberate on a variety of issues, including the global economy, energy security, climate change, post-COVID-19 pandemic implications, and the Ukrainian crisis. The perspectives of the Global South will be shared at the global platform given India's presidency of the G20, which basically provides an opportunity to channelize the inputs, said officials. We will actually be hosting a special virtual summit on 12th and 13th January 2023, which is basically next week. This summit will be called the Voice of Global South Summit under the theme Unity of Voice and Unity of Purpose, Foreign Secretary Mr. Vinay Quatra said at a special briefing on the upcoming summit. 8 ministerial level sessions will basically be conducted, focusing on areas such as energy security, the global economy, climate change, and food security. 2 heads of states sessions are also planned. A session to be hosted by the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar will focus on G20 and expectations of the Global South. Officials have not yet shared details of all the invitees, particularly whether the nations such as Pakistan, Ukraine, and China have been invited. It envisages bringing together the countries of the Global South to share their perspectives and priorities on a common platform. The impact of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, increased difficulties in access and affordability of food, fertilizer, and fuel, increased burden on developing countries like mounting debt and inflationary pressures will be discussed, said Mr. Quatra. The summit will also provide a platform to the developing and underdeveloped nations in order to share their perspectives on the ongoing energy crisis, as well as the cap on oil prices announced by the Western world on Russian crude oil. The Global South has been adversely impacted by the constraints in availability of energy resources and unilateral sanctions that have disrupted the supply chains. So, this virtual summit is actually going to be very, very productive with the participation of nearly 120 nations. Now, going forward, let's discuss another very important aspect for today. Bengal to get the Platinum Award for Duare Sarkar from the President. The West Bengal government will receive the Platinum Award from the President Shri Droupadi Murmu at the Digital India Awards instituted by the Union Electronics and IT Ministry on Saturday, that is 7th January 2023, for its Duare Sarkar initiative to provide doorstep delivery of various government schemes. The Platinum Award is actually the highest ranked category in the awards. The state government will receive the award in the category Excellence in Design and Implementation of a Public Digital Platform with a wide-scale coverage and having high impact in the society. In this category, the second highest gold icon has been won by E-Services Manipur. Chandrama Bhattacharya, State Minister for Finance, who is having the independent charge, will receive the award on behalf of the state government. It's truly commendable. Lots of congratulations to the winner. Now, going forward, let's discuss the economic aspects of India's pharma market. India's pharma market grows 8% in 2022, led by price hikes. India's pharmaceuticals market, that is IPM, grew by 8% year on year to 1.8 lakh crore rupees in 2022, mostly driven by the price increases even as the volumes remained muted, according to the market research firm AWACS. In 2021, the market had shown a growth of 14.9%, primarily because of a low base and a high volume offtake of COVID-19 and related medications such as anti-infectives, vitamins, and drugs for the gastrointestinal and respiratory problems, pain, and fever. The sales of anti-infectives such as antibiotics and antifungals, which had grown by 25% in 2021, declined by 5% in 2022. The sales volume of anti-infectives dipped by 1%. Anti-infectives was the second largest segment in 2022, with the sales touching 22,531 crore rupees. The cardiac segment, the largest therapy segment accounting for a 13% share of the market, registered a growth of 8% to 23,561 crore rupees in 2022, although volume growth was zero. The gastrointestinal segment, the third largest, saw the sales growth of 10%, but the volumes remained flat. The anti-diabetes market saw 6% growth in value and 1% in volume. The overall therapeutic segment, including respiratory, gynecology, ophthalmology, urology, and sex stimulants, was an outlier in 2022 in both value and volume terms. The respiratory segment continued strong performance with the market growth of 19% and a volume growth of 12.4%, linked to deteriorating air quality that's actually exacerbating asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and other respiratory disorders. The respiratory market stood at 14,428 crore rupees, thereby making it the sixth largest therapeutics category. So dear friends, this is an in-depth analysis of the economics of the Indian pharma market, which shows the growth of 8% in 2022, led by the price hikes in various segments as we have just discussed. So I hope today's session has been quite productive for all of you, because it helps you to enhance your overall knowledge base regarding cooperative federalism. We have discussed this aspect in quite a detailed manner. And I hope it has actually helped to cultivate a lot of wisdom on this particular aspect, and how our respected Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's efforts are actually helping to cultivate more and more practical implications of this particular aspect. Along with that, we have discussed the economics of the pharma market in India. And also we have discussed the voice of the Global South Summit, which is to be organized by India with the invitation of 120 nations on January 12th and 13th, that is next week. And obviously this is going to build a very, very productive base for the upcoming G20 summit under the presidentship of India. Along with that, we have also discussed the great news, that is Bengal is to get the Platinum Award for the Duare Sarkar today, that is 7th January 2023, from the respected President Srimati Droupadi Murmu ji. So that's all for today, dear guys, and I really hope you all please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you keep getting updated about our economic updates on regular basis. So thank you so much, and I really hope you all take very good care of yourselves until we meet next. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.